A nuclear blast shatters Arctic ice. Something ancient stirs beneath frozen waters. And in 1953, before Godzilla terrorized Tokyo, before atomic monsters became a genre, one dinosaur crawled from the depths and changed cinema forever. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms wasn't just a monster movie, it was a warning wrapped in stop-motion genius. Behind those iconic lighthouse attacks and Coney Island chaos was Ray Harryhausen's first solo masterpiece, a $2,000 legal scramble and a beast that sparked a monster revolution. Let's dive into 20 fascinating facts about the Redosaurus. But before we unleash this prehistoric terror, if you're loving these deep dives into classic monster movie history, smash that like button and subscribe. It keeps these forgotten stories alive. Now, let's get back to the beast that started it all. Number 20. The genre's foundation stone. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms didn't just succeed, it created the template for decades of atomic monster movies. Without it, would we have Godzilla's cultural empire? Would them have terrified a generation? The film proved that audiences craved monsters born from their worst fears, that stop motion could carry emotional weight, and that science fiction could be both spectacle and warning. It established the genre's DNA. Nuclear testing awakens creature. Scientists warn but aren't believed. Monster attacks escalate to populated areas. Military proves inadequate. Scientists develop solution. Final climactic urban battle. Every time a monster rises from the ocean or emerges from melting ice in modern cinema, it's walking in the Redosaurus's footsteps. Number 19. One man, one monster. Here's what makes Harryhausen's achievement staggering. He animated every single frame of the Redosaurus himself. No team, no assistants, no CGI shortcuts, just Ray, alone in his studio, breathing life into an inanimate model through sheer willpower and artistry. Every step, every tail swipe, every roar, hundreds of hours of solitary work. He'd spend entire days adjusting a model by fractions of inches, photographing it, adjusting again. There was no instant playback. He had to trust his instincts, hoping that when projected at speed, the movement would look natural. The Redosaurus moved with personality and weight because one man cared enough to make it real, frame by impossible frame. Number 18. Killed by its own curse. The final irony of the Redosaurus's death was poetic and grim. The beast, awakened by atomic radiation, is ultimately killed using a radioactive isotope shot directly into its body. Nuclear power created the problem and became the solution. The scientists explicitly state that the isotope will poison the creature from within, turning its radioactive blood into a weapon against itself. That ending wasn't just clever plotting, it was a moral statement. There's no triumph in this victory, only grim necessity. The Redosaurus dies alone and confused, a victim of forces it never understood, killed by the same scientific hubris that gave it life. The film refuses easy celebration and asks, what else are we awakening? Number 17. Speed and patience. The entire live-action portion was shot in just a few weeks, fast, efficient, and brutal on the cast and crew. But then came the real work. Harryhausen's stop-motion animation took months of meticulous labor. While actors had wrapped and moved on, Ray was still in his studio, moving his Redosaurus model millimeter by millimeter, capturing 24 frames for every second of screen time. The live-action team operated like a run-and-gun documentary crew. Meanwhile, Harryhausen worked in total isolation where temperature, lighting, and air currents had to remain absolutely consistent. A single bumped table could ruin hours of work. Some sequences required weeks of animation for just seconds of screen time. Number 16. Frozen film crew. The New York City location shoots happened in the dead of winter, and the crew suffered for their art. Night shoots at Coney Island were especially brutal. Freezing temperatures, harsh winds off the Atlantic, and equipment that barely functioned in the cold. Actors shivered through takes while technicians tried to keep cameras from freezing. Camera operators wrapped equipment in blankets between takes to prevent condensation from ruining film stock. Some crew members developed mild hypothermia, but production pushed forward. That desperation and urgency viewers felt watching the Coney Island climax. That was real human endurance captured on film. Number 15. Real soldiers, real guns. To add authenticity to military response sequences, the production recruited actual U.S. National Guardsmen. These weren't actors pretending to fire weapons. They were real soldiers with real training, bringing tactical precision to urban warfare against a 40-foot dinosaur. Their presence grounded the fantasy in reality. The National Guard's involvement was also cost-effective. Hiring and training actors would have consumed precious budget. The soldiers treated their cinematic deployment with the same discipline they'd bring to actual operations. If real military forces were responding to the threat, then maybe the threat itself deserved to be taken seriously. Number 14. The recycled roar. The Redosaurus's distinctive roar didn't stay buried with the beast. Sound designers recycled it for years, appearing in other 1950s creature features like Planet of Dinosaurs and King Dinosaur. That iconic bellow, part reptile, part nightmare, became the generic prehistoric monster sound for an entire generation of B-movies. Created by manipulating and layering various animal sounds, mechanical noises, and processed human vocals, it became industry stock audio. Low-budget productions couldn't afford custom creature vocalizations, so they licensed or lifted existing ones. The Rhedosaurus may have died at Coney Island, but its voice echoed through countless drive-in theaters for years. Number 13. Animation Innovation. Harryhausen pioneered seamless blending of live-action footage with stop-motion animation and miniature effects. Actors would react to nothing, miniature sets built at precise scales, and Harryhausen animated his models frame by frame, matching lighting and perspective. In 1953, this was groundbreaking. No computers, no digital compositing, just math, patience, and genius. He had to ensure his miniature Rhedosaurus matched lighting conditions exactly. Wrong shadows would shatter the illusion. He used rear projection screens, optical printers, and painted mats to layer animation onto filmed backgrounds. Each composite shot required multiple camera passes, each offering a chance for error. His innovation was mathematical precision meeting creative vision. Number 12. The Cyclone Roller Coaster. That roller coaster the Rhedosaurus destroys? The actual Cyclone, one of Coney Island's most famous rides, built in 1927. For wide shots they used miniatures and Harryhausen's stop-motion magic, but the real location gave everything weight and authenticity. Harryhausen meticulously recreated the roller coaster's distinctive architecture at scale. When audiences watched it burn, they were watching a piece of childhood innocence consumed by atomic consequences. The Cyclone still operates today, but in 1953, its destruction felt like watching beloved American culture crumble. Number 11. Coney Island Chaos. The film's climax unfolded at Coney Island, with the Beast attacking New York's iconic amusement park. This was revolutionary, setting a monster finale in a real, recognizable urban environment, not some remote military base. The roller coaster attack became instantly iconic, combining the familiar with the fantastic. Audiences knew Coney Island, they'd been there, and now they were watching it burn. Symbolically, it represented American leisure and prosperity under attack, where working-class families went to escape their worries. The juxtaposition of carnival lights and prehistoric terror created images that burned into cultural consciousness. Monster movies could happen in your backyard now. Number 10. Bradbury's Lighthouse Lives On. The lighthouse attack sequence became one of the most emotionally resonant moments in 1950s science fiction. Pulled directly from Bradbury's original story, it showed the Beast responding to the lighthouse foghorn, mistaking it for another creature's call. There was tragedy in that scene, a lonely monster seeking connection, only to destroy. For just a moment, the Rhedosaurus isn't a mindless destroyer. It's a confused relic responding to the only familiar sound since awakening in an alien world. When the Beast smashes the lighthouse, it's not malice, it's disappointment and rage at being alone in a world that has moved on without it. Number 9. Radiation's First Monster. The Rhedosaurus was cinema's first creature explicitly blamed on atomic testing, frozen for millions of years until a nuclear explosion melted its icy prison. The film tapped directly into Cold War terror. Audiences in 1953 were living under constant threat of nuclear annihilation, watching mushroom clouds on newsreels and building fallout shelters. The message was clear: mankind's arrogance with atomic power would literally awaken ancient horrors. The film's opening made this explicit. Scientists conducting Arctic nuclear tests directly trigger the creature's release. This made the Rhedosaurus fundamentally different from King Kong or Frankenstein's creature. It was consequence personified, nature's violent response to our deadliest invention. Number 8. Black and white by design. The film was deliberately shot in black and white, not because of budget constraints. The filmmakers wanted that stark newsreel quality, something that felt like documentary footage from an impossible disaster. Color would have made it fantasy. Black and white made it feel real, like something you might see on the evening news between bomb tests and communist threats. This aligned perfectly with 1950s media consumption. Audiences got their news in black and white, watched civil defense films in black and white, saw atomic bomb tests in stark monochrome. By shooting in the same visual language, the filmmakers blurred the line between science fiction and science fact. Number 7. Godzilla's American Ancestor. When Toho Studios in Japan saw the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, something clicked. They studied its formula, a prehistoric creature awakened by nuclear testing, rampaging through modern civilization, unstoppable until the final act. Godzilla, released just 1 year later in 1954, borrowed heavily from the Rhedosaurus playbook. Producer Tomoyuki Tanaka was specifically inspired by the Beast's commercial success after a Japanese fishing boat was contaminated by US nuclear testing. Early Godzilla designs show clear parallels to the Rhedosaurus's upright posture and reptilian features. Where the American Beast was about scientific hubris, Godzilla became a walking embodiment of nuclear trauma. Both monsters spoke different languages of destruction born from the same atomic anxiety. Number 6. The Monster That Launched 1,000 Beasts. The film's success sparked an entire genre. Within months, Hollywood greenlit atomic creature feature after atomic creature feature. Giant ants in Them, colossal octopi in It Came From Beneath the Sea, and countless others owed their existence to the Rhedosaurus. The formula was set: radiation plus prehistoric life equals box office gold. Studios scrambled to replicate it, each adding their own twist. Universal, Warner Bros., and American International Pictures all launched creature features. The Rhedosaurus proved that science fiction could be serious business. Trade papers began tracking monster movies as their own viable genre category. What started as one independent film's gamble became an industry-wide gold rush. Number 5. Budget Magic. With a modest budget of around $200,000, nobody expected The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms to become a phenomenon. But it grossed over $5 million worldwide, a staggering return for an independent production in 1953. That success proved audiences were hungry for monster movies, especially ones tapping into Cold War nuclear anxiety. Theater owners initially treated it as B-movie filler. Then word of mouth exploded. Audiences lined up around blocks, and exhibitors quickly promoted it to main feature status. That $200,000 investment returned 25 times its cost, a profit margin that made every studio executive take notice. Monster movies weren't just profitable, they were gold mines. Number 4. Meet the Rhedosaurus. The creature had a proper name: Rhedosaurus, a fictional prehistoric reptile designed to look both ancient and plausible. Unlike fantasy monsters before it, this dinosaur had anatomy, mass, and movement that felt real. Harryhausen studied paleontology books and animal locomotion to make the beast move like something that had actually walked the earth. The design was meticulous, blending elements from multiple dinosaur species: the powerful build of a Tyrannosaurus, the long neck of certain sauropods, and reptilian features suggesting something ancient and unknowable. Every scale, every muscle movement, every aggressive head tilt was calculated to convey both prehistoric authenticity and immediate danger. The name itself sounded scientific enough to feel legitimate. Number 3. Harryhausen's Solo Flight. This was the moment Ray Harryhausen stepped out from behind his mentor's shadow. Trained under Willis O'Brien, the genius who brought King Kong to life, Harryhausen had been learning for years. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms was his first solo effects project. No co-animators, no backup team, just Ray, his models, and a camera. Frame by painstaking frame, he animated the Rhedosaurus into existence, giving it weight, personality, and terror. The pressure was immense. O'Brien had set an impossibly high standard with King Kong 20 years earlier. Working alone meant every mistake was his to fix, every innovation his to discover. He developed new techniques for integrating animated creatures with live-action footage that would become industry standards. The Rhedosaurus was his declaration that stop motion had evolved. Number 2. A $2,000 afterthought. Originally, the movie had nothing to do with Bradbury. The producers were well into production when someone pointed out glaring similarities to the foghorn. Facing potential legal trouble, they scrambled to buy the rights for just $2,000 and added Bradbury's credit. It was damage control that turned into brilliant marketing. Bradbury's name gave the film literary credibility it hadn't earned on its own. Had they waited even a few weeks longer, Bradbury's lawyers might have demanded significantly more, or worse, an injunction halting the film's release entirely. Bradbury himself was gracious, later admitting he was thrilled to see his creature brought to life on screen. That $2,000 check became one of cinema's best bargains. Number 1. Born from a Foghorn's Cry. Before the Beast had a name, it lived in Ray Bradbury's imagination. The film was loosely inspired by his 1951 short story The Foghorn, where a lonely sea creature mistakes a lighthouse signal for another of its kind. That haunting tale of prehistoric longing became the foundation for cinema's first true atomic monster. Bradbury's melancholic dinosaur transformed into something far more destructive, a creature awakened not by sound, but by mankind's deadliest invention. The lighthouse scene that made audiences gasp came straight from Bradbury's pages, proving that the best monster movies start with the best stories. What made it powerful was its tragedy. His creature wasn't evil, it was the last of its kind, drawn by a sound that echoed across millions of years of loneliness. The filmmakers kept that emotional core but weaponized it with Cold War paranoia, creating something unprecedented, a monster movie with a soul. Looking back, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms was more than entertainment. It was atomic age anxiety made flesh in stop motion. Ray Harryhausen turned a $200,000 gamble into a monster revolution. proving that imagination, patience, and a little radioactive metaphor could change cinema forever. From Bradbury's Lonely Creature to Harryhausen's solo masterpiece to Godzilla's inspiration, this frozen dinosaur thawed into legend. So which fact surprised you most? The $2,000 Bradbury Scramble, Harryhausen animating alone for months, or the Rhedosaurus being Godzilla's American ancestor? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the monsters that made movie history.